Woo! Let's go.
What's up, Jeff?
I'm pumped about this one. What up, Tim? How y'all doing today?
I'm doing great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. See, I'm always excited that you're already on camera and I can already hear you.
Good. I have scar tissue from a couple sessions ago where the mic wasn't working. So now every time I hop on now, Jeff, I have to ask, can you hear me? Is this thing working?
I was on my last session that I did. Shout out to Elena. Elena's like a superhero. You couldn't hear me. When you could hear me, you couldn't see me. When you could see me, you couldn't hear me. I had to log off, log back on, and she came back in. She was holding it down. So, yeah, man.
That is the worst. Talk about getting thrown off the axle there.
Yes. I'm super pumped about this one, Tim. I see a lot of the things. I'm like number 700,000 on ChatGPT or whatever, right? Out of 1 billion people. So I was an early adopter. Got a bunch of our agents to sign up for a bunch of classes, a bunch of different things. I see a lot of people not leveraging AI to do money-making activities, right? And to not, like they're trying to build things that aren't really going to move the needle into actually what matters. I think today's session might be one of the most valuable sessions that I've seen across watching hundreds of real estate videos and about AI and how to use it. So I think this one's going to be pretty fun.
It's definitely different. You know, I think we are inundated with the amount of, hey, you've got to be blogging. We all know that at this point. Like, okay, yes, blogging is actually important again, like it was 10 years ago. And easy enough doesn't mean that it's, good content that agents are putting on their website. Nonetheless, they understand, okay, I've got to put blogs on my website to be cited by AI. But I don't think the lion's share of real estate agents understand the importance, the significance even of user-generated content, social media. And so today we're going to be talking about Reddit and Facebook, just to name a couple. And there are reasons why I cherry-pick those two, which we'll get into. But yeah, this will be probably not a session that most agents have heard of. And it's very timely. And I'll explain why once we're ready to kick things off.
All right. So you know what? You said the word timing. So let me go ahead and jump right in there. All right, cool. So everybody, guys, let's talk about it. Sorry. When someone asks ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, AI models, who the agents are in your market, AI goes looking for human opinions. We all need to understand that. Like, that's a core concept. It finds them on the tools that Tim just mentioned, such as Reddit, threads, and public Facebook groups and communities. If your name has never come up there, they are not going to find you. We do understand, like, basic science, right? If you're not there, they can't find you. In this session, with this session number 3, they've already done 2 other sessions that are, they all compound into some really great strategies. They're going to show, or Tim is going to show us how these threads feed AI and who's going to be trusted locally and how to participate in a way that is complements you, your brand, what you're doing. That way you're not coming off spammy and weird. We've seen those people, right? You'll learn how to find the right subreddits. I didn't even know that was a word until I sat with Tim. And local groups for your market. Not way over there or way over there, your market. You're going to see the recommendation framework that Tim uses with his clients. And we're going to write, in this session, write social proof comments you can post the same week. You'll walk away with a new Claude skill. Yes, we are building something for you for finding and interacting with existing threads in your market. So without further ado, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Collective. If this is your first session, I'm glad you found us. If you've been with us before, welcome back. A few quick notes on how this works. Drop your questions in the chat, and as we go, and me and Elaine and the team, we're going to surface them. Tim sometimes is going to be showing, so you won't be able to see. So we'll hop in and out. If it's really urgent, just jump right in there and ask it, right? Tim, you cool with that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Cool.
I want it to be as interactive as possible.
As interactive as possible. All right. So with that being said, let me go ahead and introduce Tim. Today we have Tim Harvey from FlyDragon back with us. Him and Ryan work on AI visibility for clients such as Power Real Estate Group, which means figuring out where LLMs like Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, all the models that you guys are aware of, find their answers. And how do they get you in front of your client base? FlyDragon handles the strategy, the research, and the technical work behind it. This is a session of number 3, like I mentioned before, of the AI visibility series that we're doing with FlyDragon. When a buyer or seller asks ChatGPT, Claude, Google, Perplexity, any of those models, who the good agents are in the market, the AI goes and looks for actual human opinions and presents those to your clients. Tim and Ryan are going to show you how those threads shape who AI trusts locally and how to get your name in front of them. With that being said, guys, everybody, welcome Tim Harvey.
Jeff, I need to hire you as like my hype man because you get me fired up every time we do these sessions.
I am for sale, dog. Let's do this. I'm a systems guy. I could be anywhere.
That's it. I don't even need coffee. I just need Jeff in the morning. Like, just
let's go.
All right. I'm going to share my screen 1 second, but for the agents on the call live here, I would love to know, drop in the chat, are you a Reddit user? Do you use Reddit? Do you use Facebook groups? Me personally, I'm not a Reddit user. I use Facebook groups. There's one in Upton where I live, a small town in central Massachusetts, where I'm a fly on the wall. I see it in my feed every day. I'm reading these things. I probably participate half a dozen times a year, asking for somebody to plow my driveway. I need some young buck to weed my flower beds when I'm out of town, things of that nature. But I want to know who's using Facebook groups and who's using Reddit or both. While
we got Jason Maslow says Facebook groups. Elena says consumer. Oh, consumer, not a poster. And she also reminded us not to get kicked out of subreddits. So we're going to learn how not to get kicked out today.
We will talk about that for sure. It is complicated. There are some barriers for sure. Are we supposed to be admin this? Just kidding. Yes. We'll talk about that. So let me share my screen. I mentioned this is very timely. I'll share my window. So I'm going to share first this prompt watch. Now this just came out days ago, August 18th. What was that? 10 days ago, give or take. Reddit citations have literally fallen off a cliff. So you've probably heard me talk about it or other people in the industry talking about the importance of Reddit specifically for OpenAI, for ChatGPT. And the reality is, as of the last 2 weeks, you can see here the citation share, meaning when you look at all the citations for ChatGPT, what is it citing? More than 3% of it, which sounds like a small number. It's actually massive. If you think about how many people are using chat, queries are happening every day. 3% were coming from Reddit. Now, why Reddit? Well, I deduce that it's because you're getting the good, the bad, the ugly. What do we get on our websites? We get the good. I've even had, and they shall remain nameless, Jeff, but I've had agents, clients of ours say, hey, you got this blog on the website, on my website, the agent's website, saying, the pros and cons of living in X. Can we just talk about the pros? Sure. However, they're looking for the answer. So they're going to get it on your website or your competitor's website or from Reddit or other sources, Facebook groups, to name a couple. So I would steer clear of that. We have 2 sets of eyeballs we've got to consider. Okay. It's the consumers for sure, the buyers and sellers that you have, but also the machines. They're trying to find the answer. So if it's not getting it from your website, it's going to get it from your competitor's website if they're doing what they should be doing. Nonetheless, you can see here ChatGPT fell off a cliff. It is not citing Reddit like it has been over the past year or so. That being said,
why do you think that happens?
No idea. Honestly, no clue. However, it could be a blip. Could be. It might not be intentional. I'm willing to stake $5 here, Jeff, that within the next couple of months, we see this tick back up. It's the stock market. It's volatile. Citation shares shifting all the time. But just because chat is not citing Reddit like it was, weeks ago, even 2 weeks ago, it doesn't mean that Google's not citing it. So Google's AI is citing it. Even Perplexity. I think it's close to 50%. I got the stat here. It's close to, here we go. So Reddit makes up about 21% of Google's AI overview citations. That's huge. 1 of every 5 citations. Google's AI overview.
Okay. All right. And then you said for Perplexity as well, right?
Yes, Perplexity, it's like 50%, close to 50%, a staggering number. So this is a quick search. This is funny. So I was talking to a client a couple of days ago. She's asking me about YouTube videos. Now, a whole other topic, which we covered last month, but I said, look, I could guarantee when I run this search, I asked this question to Google, I'm going to see YouTube videos in the AI overview. The funny part was I didn't. I just saw Reddit. So when I say AI overview, for those of you who aren't familiar, you ask Google a question, you'll get these organic results, right? Sometimes you'll see paid results, and then you'll see this blurb here. This is the AI overview. All right, think of it as like a summary. This is what's chipping away at organic traffic. When people say we are heading into a zero-click world, this is what it means. Every time there's an AI overview present in a Google search, which is predominantly all of Google searches today, especially when you ask a question, you're going to see clicks fall off a cliff. Even the first organic result down here, in this case, which is actually Reddit, funny enough, clicks aren't happening. So AI overview, I call it the creme de la creme placement. So this particular Google search was funny to me. This was just yesterday talking to this client. I'm like, you know what? This is perfect timing because I'm doing a session tomorrow on Reddit. And for whatever reason, the market, she's in Columbia, Missouri, every single citation that you're seeing here is Reddit. That's her right here. It's actually our content. No big deal.
Yeah. I'm glad you're showing this because when you said AI overview, I was thinking like all of not AI, like Google AI overview. I was thinking of like the whole suite of Google. I was like, wow.
Yes. No, just that blurb,
okay.
which 2 billion people are seeing this across the globe every single month. 2 billion sets of eyeballs are seeing Google AI overviews. So it is not something to sleep on. So we care about, of course, chat. We care about, Grok and Copilot and Gemini. But Google's AI overview has an insane amount of usage, more than even chat. Gemini just hit 1 billion. So people using Gemini as their AI model of choice just hit 1 billion monthly users recently. AI overviews, yes, the organic traffic is eroding from Google. Nonetheless, it still is the lion's share of the searches. People are still using Google. Doesn't mean that they're not using Google and some AI model. So this matters, number one, Jeff. But you can see here, Reddit is heavily cited. And when I go to Perplexity, I asked a similar question. What's it like living in Colombia? You get the answer. Like, these models aren't making the answers up. Like, they're sourcing it from a live web search or the data it's been trained on. And all of these citations you can see here, it's a mix of real estate news, livability, niche. And then if I scroll further down, again, there's our client, but there's Reddit. So Reddit is
Reddit thread too.
What's that, Elena?
It's the exact same Reddit thread too.
It's the same Reddit thread. Great. I'm so glad you saw that. It's the same thread. So for whatever reason, this Reddit thread has a ton of juice. I'm sure it's aged. If I look at it, let's grab the date here. 8 months ago. So it's older than a few days. There is a recency bias, but you'll find whether it's pages on a website or social media, Facebook posts in a group or a Reddit subreddit here. Whatever reason, like, this thing took off. The models are so. The answer to your question, not even a question that you asked, but the answer to this is that you see it performing well organically on Google search, which means it's likely to perform well in the models, which is why you see Perplexity grabbing this. Again, where does AI get its answers? 2 places: the data it's been trained on and a live web search. I'm going to guess this came from a live web search. The data, the training data is usually a little bit more stale than 8 months.
Tim, I have 2 call outs to make. One,
Please.
Earlier you said the phrase zero-click world. That's literally the first time I've ever heard that.
Okay. I live in a bubble,
don't know why,
so I think everybody has. But thank you for bringing this up. Maybe people aren't familiar with what that means. So we're moving into the zero-click world. I keep hearing it because I'm obviously, this is what I live and breathe every single day, and I see it being true. So if you go to Google Search Console, you all should have it set up. If you don't, go to your website provider, make sure it's set up. It's going to show you your traffic graph. Not always the case, but we'll across the collective see a steady decline in your organic traffic. Why is that? Because of the Google AI overview. So again, there's plenty of data. I think Ahrefs and SEMrush put out some reports over the past 6 months. Ever since Google rolled out the AI overview, that blurb at the top of Google, organic traffic is down anywhere between 60 and 90%, which is massive. So if you ask Google a question, if you asked 2 years ago, what would happen? People would look at the results, click blue links, land on your website. There you can track them. There, they could fill out a form on your website. But since they rolled out the AI overview, what's happening now is people are just consumers, whether it's your buyers and sellers or people looking for barbershop, sneakers, whatever it is. They're getting their answer from the blurb, the overview, and they're moving on. They're not clicking your website, which is why at FlyDragon, we don't necessarily care about organic traffic. We treat it as a proxy metric. That's why we're not a traditional SEO agency. I think this is bringing SEO to, the way of the dodo bird. It's a dying discipline. We care about AI SEO or whatever acronym you want to use because we're trying to get agents into the answers, and then buyers and sellers are picking up the phone and calling them. So when I say zero-click world, Elena, I mean that when the AI overview is present, organic traffic is down between 60 and 90%. Staggering number, broad range, depending on what data you're using to source that. But yes, it's more than half. I'll put it that way.
And
it's a fact. Oh, go ahead, Lena.
I was going to say, I just put the replay to build the page AI reads first. For those who caught Tim say, set up your Google Search Console. It should be set up if you haven't already. That's different than Google Analytics. Is it different?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So think of Google, just to define the two, it might be, this might be new territory for agents on here or watching the recording. Google Search Console will just show you organic results. How many impressions you're getting organically in Google, or clicks you're getting organically. You can set up Bing as well. Bing has its own tracking. Google Analytics will track all traffic sources. So organic, direct traffic, people maybe clicking on a link from social media or email. So you're going to track all traffic on Google Analytics. You'll track organic traffic inside of Google Search Console.
Cool.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me throw a couple of numbers out here because I think, if you're not already a believer in the things I'm saying, I'm trying to get everybody to believe these things. But Reddit has more than 500 million weekly users. So not a lot of Reddit users here. I'm not. I didn't know anybody was using Reddit till about a year ago when I started seeing AI consuming Reddit. 500 million, it's like 516 million weekly, not monthly, but weekly users. That's like, Jeff, that's like the population of the US, Canada, and Mexico combined.
The whole North. Every week.
It's North America, right? So that's how my brain works. I'm like, to me, 516 million is like a fake number. How do I quantify that? Give me something to measure that against. The population of North America, essentially. Facebook.
I used to go to Reddit for like Grand Theft Auto cheat codes. Like, that's how far back I used to use Reddit. So,
all right. So Jeff is one of the power users here. So I'll appreciate we're going to cover tape for Reddit. Now, Facebook Groups has 1.8 billion with a B monthly users, monthly active users. That's like one out of every 5 people on planet Earth. Like insane numbers to think about how many people are using social media. Just these 2 channels, if I may. So it's being seen. So I'm not surprised when we see the language models citing these 2 in particular, because it cares about not only where people are consuming information, people are contributing to information. But again, I go back to, you're getting the good, the bad, the ugly. You're getting the unfiltered human reply where you might not get that from a real estate agent or any business's website. On FlyDragon.com, go FlyDragon.com. Do you think I'm talking about, the downsides of partnering with us? Probably not. I have to go back and see what the team's doing, but probably talking about all the good things we do. But if I were to go to social media or Reddit, that's where you're going to get the client's opinion. In this case, real estate agent's opinion about me, or buyers and sellers' opinions about the real estate agent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and not to go down a rabbit hole, but I was just doing some searching while you're chatting, and like just to further compound your statement of how impactful Reddit is, like AI visibility aside, I asked Gemini, because it's the fastest, how many subreddits are there? So subreddit is like a community. You can like equivalent that to like a Facebook group. How many subreddits there are? There's like millions. And then the one that you showed the example of like what's it like living in Columbia, Missouri. Yeah. That one Reddit over millions has 2.2 million people in it. So AI visibility aside, like you can get business just from Reddit alone, which I have just by interacting in subreddits. Wow.
I didn't even know that state had a Columbus anyway, at all. Like,
well, it's a great point. So I would think what matters? Like, why are these organically performing? Meaning, top of Google, which is where AI is grabbing a lot of its information from. Usership, Elena. So if a subreddit has millions of users versus dozens, well, that's a signal, as is the activity. So if there are millions of people, I'm going to, if I may, assume that it's more active than any Reddit I were to start up, a subreddit, at least for today. It's going to be more active. So it's going to get more inputs to AI. So it does matter. So perfect opportunity to segue into how we can find these opportunities, because you can do it the old-fashioned way, which we've done that for years, which would be just starting to find these subreddit opportunities. Now, I will preface this. It's important. Do we execute motions on Reddit for clients? The answer is yes, we do. But you're going to run into a couple of barriers. One is Reddit bots. Reddit bots can pull comments. So if you're being too self-promoting, that'll get snapped. You also have human moderators, humans that own these subreddits. They started them. It's their baby. It's their bread and butter. If they don't like it happens on Facebook all the time. I've asked for recommendations. I've had things pulled. I've even left groups. I'm petty, but I asked a very pointed question, and my comment got removed, which bugged me. So I just leave the group. But you're dealing with the human element as well. Some subreddit organizers will have opinions on what should be shared, what should not be shared. So I will make it as easy as we possibly can today to give you the prompt, the skill that you can use to find these opportunities on both Reddit and Facebook, public Facebook groups, private groups. Obviously, AI can't access, but it can access public groups. But then you have to take it one step further. Now you've identified the subreddit, or identified the group. What are you, the thread? What are you actually saying? So AI will give you the answer. I will always give you that, I'll say, lever to pull on, but I want you to also come from a human angle. If it doesn't sound like you, if it feels too self-promotional, I would argue that you should just speak from the heart and speak with true intention. So I'm going to get into that next. Are there any questions before I jump into another screen share? Let's see. Oh, I think we're good. Okay. By the way, Elena, Jeff, this week, this month, it's not a Claude skill that we provided. It's a ChatGPT skill. Does anybody know that?
Okay.
ChatGPT also has skills? I didn't know this till about a month ago. I didn't know that. It's new information even for me. And the reason is funny. So Reddit blocks Anthropic, Claude. There was a lawsuit.
They got beef?
They got beef. Allegedly, I have to say this before my attorney's rapping my door. Allegedly, Claude had accessed, I think it was 100,000 different posts on Reddit. And they denied the allegations. Nonetheless, they got beef. So we rolled this this month with the ChatGPT skill. I'll walk everybody through it. You've seen the last couple of months how we provide the skills. It's a very similar fashion. You'll be able to do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And you're going to open up ChatGPT. Now, I'm going to go through this live. I would recommend just paying attention, and then afterwards, Elena and team will send out the skill. It's a markdown file that you can load up into your ChatGPT. I will also mention it requires the paid chat account. Sorry, but you have to be paying the $20 per month for a paid chat account to have access to ChatGPT skills. And at the end, I'll show you.
At this point, I'm going to say
who doesn't have it.
I'll say a public service announcement.
Please.
If you're not paying the $20, just hop off the call right now. This is this is the most important $20 that you can be spending in any business. Go down the rabbit hole. Please spend the $20. Continue, please. Sorry.
Fair enough.
I just had to.
It's a fair point. Clear. I mean, I'm mindful of the amount that, the marketing dollars that agents are spending on every solution you've ever heard of under the sun. But, in comparison, $20 on ChatGPT is not, hopefully, going to put you out of business. So yes, pay the $20. So you go to chat, and again, at the end, I'll show you how to load the skill. I already have the skill loaded, of course. So unlike Claude, which I think it's a backslash, you start to type in chat, you're going to type an @ symbol. And then it is, what is it? What do we call this one? Let me see real quick. Hold on.
While he's pulling that up, in the chat, have any of you guys went ahead and pulled your name or looked up who's the best real estate agent in your city area? Anybody have done that?
I hope everybody would at this point. Ask Chat, ask Google, ask.
That was
Gemini.
humbling on our very first call. Yes, I should pay ChatGPT some referrals. Yeah.
Well, there's all. I mean, I can take us. I'm going to take us down another rabbit hole and talk about the difference between, say, Google search organic results and AI, which is probabilistic. It's very different. What my answer is going to be different than Jeff's answers or Elena's answers because we have a chat history. Additionally, the model you're using matters. So 5.6 right here versus 5.5. This legacy model, the results are going to vary. Even this here, the effort, light versus ultra or max. The results will vary. So it's hard to sort of replicate those results, but nonetheless, you should be asking. You could believe that I do every day. I'm asking about, and I have to ask from spoof accounts. So Chat will tell you what you want to hear. Any of the models will with a history. So I've got to log in from places like my wife's phone, who has no history on FlyDragon, and ask questions to get the unfiltered answer. All right, so you're gonna go and type at Hunt. When you start to type this, it'll pop up. Just refresh this. So once you load this skill, which I'll show you at the end, you'll see the skills pop up. And so it'll be Hunt public conversations. So I just started typing at Hunt, it pops up, and then we'll do Boston, Mass. And I would recommend keep it on 5.6 Sol and effort medium. I actually haven't experimented with making. I didn't like it. All that means is how many tokens are we using here. So if you go to high, extra high, max, it's going to be more in depth. You're going to eat through some tokens, but for the sake of this, I'll just keep it on medium. And it's going to take a few minutes. So I've, of course, just like the cooking shows, when you show, put things in the oven, I already have something coming out of the other oven. So I'll show the results from maybe an hour ago. I was prepping for this call. So same deal. It runs this skill, Hunt public conversations, and what you're just kind of walk everybody through what you're going to get as an output. It is finding recent, I'll pop this open. It's finding recent Reddit posts and Facebook group posts. And so here's a bit of the description, public Hunt conversation. So these are the instructions, right? This is the markdown file. It's saying find public threads that match the user's underlying topic. So this is semantics. It's things that will be related to real estate and not only their exact wording. That matters, right? Cover that in another class. So it's going to ask about dates. It's going to say, okay, collect the search brief, exact or establish. What's the topic? What's the seed phrase? Seed phrase, going back to semantics, is what is the intention of the person asking a question? So it's trying to, and you will see things like rentals in here as well, which of course may or may not relate to you. If it doesn't, you can actually tell your ChatGPT once you load the skill, like, hey, remove rentals, not a core focus of the business. It's not something that is relevant to me in my market. The time window matters. Of course, if it's a subreddit from a year or two ago, are you going to just randomly hop in? Yeah, probably not. So we'll talk about the cadence of how often you should do this, but roughly every single week, it will take you just a few minutes. So the goal is, if you're doing this on a weekly cadence, I should also mention this, Jeff and Elena, the population size does matter. If I do this for Upton, Massachusetts, I can't imagine there's going to be as many subreddits or public Facebook groups in comparison to what, Worcester down the road, or even Boston, Massachusetts. So if you're in a major metro market, you could do it more frequently because there are likely to be more conversations happening than if you live in rural US or Canada. So, all right, build the semantic search map. Okay, again, actually, we used Upton as the example here. So for housing market in Upton, Mass, useful expansions may include Upton, Mass home prices, buying in Upton, selling in Upton, Upton inventory, your prices dropping, Worcester County housing. So it's helping chat to sort of map what is relevant or not. The whole goal with the skill is to just put the subreddits or the Facebook posts in front of you that are relevant to you and timely. Does that make sense, Jeff?
So what it right now is saying, hey, search everywhere for public conversations about this topic, but don't just use the exact words that we wrote. Take it's the topic, it's exact words, it's reference within a certain time frame. Bring it back and not only just give us an artificial answer, but give us the sources of where this is being broken down into, like where this conversation is having. correct?
Yeah, yes. Essentially, it's saying use your intelligence to deduce what somebody's asking, if it's relevant for my eyeball. Should I be looking at this? Because if I said, hey, just map it to, I'm looking to buy a home. Well, if they didn't use that specific language, well, then we're in trouble. So the whole point of semantics is to help these models use its intelligence to say, hey, I know. In the obscure reference I always use is the Jaguars, right? So when I say Jaguar, if I were to Google Jaguar right now, I'm going to see things related to the car, the Jaguar, right? The NFL team, Jaguars. There are several different versions of Jaguar.
A
The
cougar,
animal.
a puma,
right? Then you've got animals.
right? I went down the rabbit hole the other
Yeah.
night. Sorry if you guys can't tell. I Googled Yeah. All right, cool. This is ironic.
So that's the point of
Whatever.
semantics, is it's helping the models understand what is the intention behind this question that we're searching. So we're trying to feed it related keywords. So the model's like, oh yeah, clearly we're talking about not rentals, but we're talking about resale as an example. All right, so I typed this in. I think this one's actually done. It is. Okay. So this is the one we just did. Took 2 minutes. So when you run the skill, 2 minutes, top off your coffee, hit the bathroom break, come back, boom. You got your where you should start. So you don't just go on this endless journey to find Reddit posts and Facebook group posts. So now it's saying, okay, and it's going to rank it also. Best verified opportunities. In this case, I had 4 earlier. What did I have? I had 5 in this case. High. Yeah, I had more than 5. I used medium, same model, but produced different results. So if I open up one of the examples, this is I'll start with Reddit actually. So this was 12 days ago. And some of the lateral limits that the skill will put on it would be, I think it's within 30 days. Now, disclaimer, sometimes, especially with Facebook, I tested this a few times. And this is new, by the way. I should say this too, Jeff. These are things that we're doing first for the REC community. Like this is not something we've even done for clients. When we have a session, it's unproven in the fact that this is brand new. We just did this last week, me and Ryan. Tested it together, oh, this is really cool. So we give it to you first.
That's why I call this room the smartest room in real estate, because
innovators.
Majority of the things that we're doing right now, no one we see what's being pushed out there, and it's no, let's go and test it live. Let's go and see it right now. What are we actually winning on and showing the people? These things, like Daniela said, these things change so often, right?
Yeah,
so he had to preface this that last week, even though we had the session planned a month ago or 2 months ago, we've already seen some changes. So just buckle up, apply it to your business, and inspect what you expect. He's telling you guys to make sure, don't just turn this on one time and look at it one time. Go in here week after week and check on it. Bring the feedback back to the community, because you might notice a change that Tim hasn't seen yet. And we could all open up another conversation and create a new strategy and tactics to be able to leverage. So
yeah, if you're watching this recording in November, just close the recording. It's probably irrelevant at this point, right? It's ever evolving, ever changing. So it's just disclaimer. If you're like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. It's from August. That's why. So
values in the community. Go ask questions.
Exactly. All right. So this is in Boston Housing is the subreddit, considering a move to Boston. So this person, Avery M, that's their name, shared this 12 days ago. Okay, I'm considering a move to Boston. Or she's been considering for 14 years. Wow, she's doing a deep analysis before she makes the change. Would love recommendations. Okay, 34, female, she's single, 2 dogs. I've lived in these locations. Yada yada yada. Any advice is welcome. And then you're going to get all the comments. Some of it will be, self-promotional. You got to get the haters in here. There are haters everywhere in social media. Whatever, who knows why? But okay, this guy's plugging Somerville. If you don't know the area, Somerville is the neighboring city just north of Boston. And so this person here is even saying, I think he said, I work Boston, but based on what you're describing, I would actually recommend looking at Somerville for different reasons. And then this know-it-all, she said Boston, LOL. So nonetheless, it's going to show you opportunities for you to jump in. So you can, again, identify the subreddits with active recent posts, and you can jump in and answer the question. So this is is intended to be transactional, meaning they're asking for recommendations. Hey, sometimes, let's see if I can find one real quick, Jeff. But rental, submitting offers on apartments. Let me go back to this one because I actually had more results here. But somebody was straight up asking for realtor recommendation requests in Peabody. This is Facebook now. So Pride in Peabody, it's a Facebook group. They they posted anonymously, like they said, I don't want a bunch of realtors reaching out to me. Like, just drop some names, give me the answers. And so here's what we're looking for. So they get the criteria. Clearly, they spent enough time on this that it is I'll say, higher intent Facebook post. So this would be an opportunity if you work the Peabody market of Massachusetts to have somebody tag you. You tag yourself. Hey, shoot me a message. Hey, here's about, a bit about me. But this is what we're looking for agents to, exist in the conversations. So
okay, literally, this is amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. It's like this is like, hey, I need to hire somebody. Do you know anybody? It should be you. Yeah, me. So the point of the skill is so you don't miss these opportunities, because you see it 6 months later. Guess what? That house is closed. Right? It's listed. It's not only listed. It's already off the market. We missed the opportunity. So we go back to the whole 516 million people every single week using Reddit, or the 1.8 billion using Facebook groups every month. They're both active communities. But if you aren't timely, so if you're not, you can run this every day if you wanted to. I would think a week sufficient, but it will take you 2 minutes to run to identify where people are quite literally asking for a realtor recommendation or otherwise, and you could join the conversation. You might even find, now that's bottom of the funnel, right? Right, Elena? But if, there are going to be other questions before they get to that point, if they ever get there, where they're asking about the neighborhoods. I'll use the same Boston example because it's, my backyard, but hey, 14 years I've been toying around with the idea of moving to Boston. Tell me about the neighborhoods that I should consider. And this is where, if you're answering, especially if you're already answering these questions on your website with content, hey, I wrote a blog on this exact topic. Here are the top, 5 neighborhoods to consider if you're moving to Boston in 2026, comparing Charlestown versus the North End versus the South End versus Back Bay, et cetera. It's another opportunity for you to be part of the conversation, whether AI is citing you in the answers or it's just helping the consumer. Again, I'm going to go back to anchor this every time to this. 2 sets of eyeballs: the consumers, the actual humans that are living in these Facebook groups or Reddit, and the machines, AI, who is citing what's happening in these conversations, which is helping to train its training data.
And it also helps you swap habits, right? You could either be doom scrolling or you be scrolling for a purpose, right? If you apply this process and you're looking at your time scrolling on Instagram, Facebook, and other places, just looking at what happened with your high school graduating class, you should probably switch this over to do something more purposeful and to start to build. And remember what he's just said. The number one ranking from minute number 3 of this conversation happened 8 months ago, right? Yeah. Conversation pieces that happened a while ago are still being ranked, are still high on the totem pole of what consumers are taking place. When I go into Reddit, like I said, I'll just looking for cheat codes. I didn't care when it was posted, right? I just wanted the answers. So people are just looking overall. They're not inspecting when this post was done and when that was. You being a professional, this can help you stand out and just have a system. If you do this 52 times a year, you're going to start to generate some business.
Yeah. We did this with Zach Seltzer in Panama City Beach, Florida. And I will say this, from our limited, I'll say, testing with Reddit, we find a post here and we plug Zach from multiple accounts. So sometimes one plug could be enough, but you're going to get 15 different agent names in the answers. So I think we did it 2, if not 3 times, different accounts that were saying, hey, you should look at Zach. Now, we're not saying we're not making anything up, but you should look at Zach Seltzer for these reasons, coming from multiple accounts. I want to say we did a session together, guys, where I showed, it might've been a webinar on the top 10 ways to be recommended by AI. Zach was in the answers, and this was probably 6 months ago now. I was in Florida. So it was February. I remember doing this session in Florida, and I saw Zach in the answers. He had 2 citations. One was for a listicle we did. The other was actually the Reddit, that same Reddit thread where we had several instances where we were plugging him. And so it absolutely can be cited. It does going back to Elena's point about, search everywhere optimization. If I do a Google search and I see, when I say SEO, right? The new SEO is search everywhere optimization, not just search engines. So you're going to see Reddit here. What are the best neighborhoods in San Diego to buy a home? Okay, organic results. This, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but in the last like 24 hours, this has changed for me. So it's like looking at forums. If I go to all,
I was just gonna ask. I was like, this looks
this
totally
brand new.
different.
Oh yeah. Google's always rolling out updates. I never saw this until yesterday. I'm like, what is going on here? Normally, I see the paid results, which I don't even see. I don't think these are not paid results. I can't imagine they're not running ads. But it could go back to my point about the zero-click world. It's not only impacting our organic results, it's also impacting paid PPC, where you're paying to click. I've had so many agents reach out in the last like month or two saying, Google's not even spending my money because nobody's clicking. It goes back to the point of getting comfortable with the zero-click world. People aren't clicking on pay-per-click links, no more or less than they are organic results down below. So here again is the AA overview. Give me some neighborhoods in the San Diego market. And I scroll past this, now I'm getting like, the unfiltered organic results, niche, Zillow. Here are the discussions and forums. Oh, weird. Reddit. There's Reddit. Oh, weird. There's the public Facebook groups, right? So it's being consumed on page one of Google. These are, I would say prime placement. Now this is 7 months old, LinkedIn, a year old, Reddit, 3 years old. It's aged. It's finding value in these. So I'm not saying don't jump into these. It goes back to, if you're looking for the direct business, you're probably not going to get it in the Reddit post now. It's 3 years old. Somebody asked the question 3 years ago. You're probably not going to get that client now. They've probably moved twice in the last 3 years. But goes back to the models, right? The other set of eyeballs is, well, clearly Google cares about this, which is where the models are getting its information from. So it's an opportunity for you to get your name into the conversations. I hope that makes sense. The distinction between the two.
No, it does. People all the time still, like there was a post maybe 3 or 4 years ago now asking a question on Reddit for like recommendations on CRMs or people who can help. That thread was like 3 or 4 years old. I commented on it a year ago, and because it pulls up in AI results, people open the thread and they message, they DM me on Reddit. So now I have to check Reddit. But
not yet. Yeah. Just add one more thing to your to-do list.
Before, go ahead. One of the things, I got a question, right? So I have multiple agents that we cover a large geographical footprint. We have LA, Orange County, Riverside, San Bernardino. We have agents down in San Clemente area as well. They're looking to start to establish. Mm-hmm. So they are doing the blogs, they are doing the weekly videos going out. How can they leverage this strategy, right? What is the cadence? How can they leverage this strategy using the prompt, what should they do to be able to help grow their brand in Southern California? And they don't want Southern California. They want one city. Like they just want to own, they want to be the mayor of that city. What should they be working on?
I would take the skill that we're providing here after the session, and I would type in their city, whether it's Riverside, Los Angeles, further down south, type that in, find these local opportunities. Now, again, you're going to find examples of buyers and sellers asking for the agent recommendation. Perfect. Great. Hey, I work this area. Here's how long I've been doing it. A little bit about me. Would love to connect. Additionally, you'll find things that are more middle of the funnel or even top of funnel where they're just narrowing the search. Tell me what you know about, I'll go back to Boston. I was going to use an LA example, Jeff, but it won't make sense to you because I don't know the market like you do. But like, I'll think about moving into Boston. Tell me about, Back Bay versus Charlestown, or should I live in Boston proper, or should I live out in Metro West where I live? Those are opportunities to showcase the agent's expertise. Hey, I'm local. I know the market. I transact here. I work with all these clients. A little bit about both markets. Kind of give the TLDR. Too long didn't read. Like, here's the answer to your question. But ideally, they're answering their question on the website. This is all connected, right? There's connective tissue tying everything you're doing. So don't think of this as a one-off exercise that you're doing, something that's disjointed from your other marketing. But if you've been following our sessions, they're actually going in order. I didn't really mention this, Jeff, but like we started with website content. We moved into YouTube. Now we're talking about a little bit of social. I think the next month we're doing listicles and press releases, so third-party brand mentions. All of this is intentional. The order is intentional. All of this is connected. So if you're following along and you did the website content that we recommend, I think we recommended 20 different blogs that had the most search volume for our clients. Well, you actually have that answer to the question about the different neighborhoods. So you could say TLDR, here's the answer, but I also wrote a blog on this, and so here's the link to the blog. Whether they click on it or not, it's there. Disclaimer: links get removed a lot. Or comments with links get removed a lot. So you're hitting the Reddit bots, and you're hitting the human moderators who say, nope, I'm not letting you plug your website, even if you're literally trying to be helpful and just not even trying to win business. It's just that I have the answer to your question in 3,000 words on my website. Here it is. I still don't recommend it.
Can you summarize? Is there a limit to what you can post into a Reddit comment?
Oh, I'm sure that I don't know what the character limit is. I can guarantee there's a character limit.
Because then you could just summarize, like if you see that they've removed your link, go back in and just take this same blog, make it sound really good, but at 500 words instead of 3,000 words. And now you're adding value. And it's like, all right, cool. Well, you're going to remove my link. Here's a detailed breakdown of my analysis of Metro versus Back Bay.
Yeah, I'm Googling it right now, Jeff. It's like a comment can be up to 10,000 characters, which is pretty large. So you summarize the blog. I would test it. Every group's going to be a little bit different because you're going to deal with different levels of people who care or not care. Some will, like we've done this enough time for clients where we've included links, not included links, and we've seen it all. So I can't just sit here and tell everybody definitively if you include a link, it's going to get removed. It may not. And if you don't include a link, it could still get removed. So the point is, it's worth the effort to try to give the TLD. And this is our process. We give the TLDR in 3 to 5 sentences, and then sometimes we'll include the link if we have the blog for a client saying, "Hey, for more information, like take a look at this blog. We just wrote it a month ago." Whatever the case might be.
Sick. I can dig it.
Shall I show everybody how to load the skill?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Helpful. Okay. All right. Coming back to share mode. All right. So you're going to open up chat. This is different than Claude. So if you loaded a Claude skill, that will not help you here. So when you're in the left-hand window, you're going to see plugins. You're going to click on plugins. If you're not on the paid version, again, you're not going to see plugins and skills. You just see plugins. So you need to pay the $20 to the man, and then you'll see the skills. You click on skills. Any skills you have installed, obviously I have it installed, you'll see here. So you won't see the skill. Click on the plus sign here, upload from your computer, and then you're going to drag in skill.md. This will be the skill. This is the skill that I've already sent to Elena. It'll be emailed out. So whatever that markdown file is, you're just going to double tap that and load it up. Then you're done. So that now you have the skill loaded, and then I would refresh the window. You come back to a new chat and you just start to type @hunt and you'll see it pop up. Hunt public conversations. Oh, not that. Sorry. @hunt. And then again, you're just going to type in, I don't know, Columbia, Missouri, and it's going to get to work. And that's it. And then it's going to give you the Reddit threads that it's identified, the public Facebook groups with comments, posts that it's identified for you to go through. There's going to be, it'll vary based on the population size, right? There's obviously a correlation between the population and how active people are on social media. So if you're in Upton like I am, I would either do it less frequently or go more broad, unless you don't want to work more broadly. But it's worth playing around with in towns versus metro areas if that fits your market.
Does GPT offer the same option that Claude does to run this on like a schedule? Say you just want it to do automatically and not remember.
That's a great question. And transparently, this is the first time I ever used the ChatGPT skill. Again, a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know it had a skill. Once we identified we couldn't use Claude, I'm like, oh, weird. We can't use Claude for the skill because Red's being blocked, or Reddit's blocking Claude rather. So I don't know. I'd have to do a quick Google search.
And Danielle also just shared with everyone that if you have an Amex, you get a discount on ChatGPT for Business.
And Charity on our team just wrote, ChatGPT now has skills and schedule task too. Charity, can you do me a favor? Can you create a Loom video and drop it in the discussion space in REC so that we can check that out? Appreciate you, Charity.
This is the whole point of the community, right? Like, hey, we're all learning in real time, even us, even though we're power users doing this for 200 plus agents across the US. I'm still learning. and I have this co-founder title on my head, but I'm very humble. And so I'm here selfishly to also learn from all of you. So thank you. I didn't know, you could schedule a task with chat.
Yeah, the things that Charity's wired up for Power is crazy. So if you guys in the community, if you ever need Clarence, she might take a few hours. She sleeps and things like that. She's just hit her up. So she's super dope.
There's three questions in this chat, but Danielle's wondering, will this work in Claude just to check other public conversations outside of Reddit?
It won't, because you might have missed that early on. I was mentioning there was a lawsuit in June of last year, in 2025, where Reddit took Anthropic to court because they alleged that Anthropic had accessed that like 100,000 times Reddit data. So the reason why Reddit's being consumed by OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Google is because they have agreements in place. So they literally have agreements. I'm sure there's a monetary agreement. They are paying for the access to this information. Anthropic doesn't have that same agreement. And so now Reddit, and obviously Anthropic has denied allegations. Nonetheless, they are not friendly right now. So you can't use, and you can actually ask Claude, can you access Reddit, or even Google the question. You'll see what I'm talking about. So you can't use Claude for Reddit, which is why we said, you know what, let's just go with a ChatGPT skill in this case, which is when I learned that Chat had skills, because I use Claude way more today than I use Chat. So I'm a little bit behind on Chat. I've just been, all in on Claude for the last 6+ months. It probably does work for Facebook though, but now you're going to have, you're going to be using different platforms. So I personally would use Chat. It's going to do it in one shot. If you wanted to use Claude, because you're like me and it's hard to peel away when you've been using something, it will only work for Facebook at best.
Cool.
What else?
I could dig it.
So there were a couple more.
What other questions did you have in there, Lena?
Someone was wondering what this plugin is called. I think I answered it. I said this is a skill in GPT.
It's a skill, correct? It's a skill.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll send out, or Elena's team will send out the skill after the fact. You go to ChatGPT, you'll go to plugins, you'll load a new skill there, and then you'll be able to use the skill inside of ChatGPT. You must have the paid account.
Okay. Mike, I think that Tim just answered your question of where you go to install it.
Cool. Anything else you got for us today, Tim?
I think that's everything. I think, I always think like, this will be a quick 30-minute session. It always goes longer, which is fine by me, but I want this to be actionable. I want people to, see the value in this, not just, arbitrarily sit on a webinar for 45 or 60 minutes. But yeah, the point of what I illustrate for anybody who dropped on late or hopped on late or, watching the recording, I demonstrated how many people across the globe are using Reddit and are using public Facebook groups. I showed you search everywhere optimization, if I may. If I go to Google, type any question, you're almost always going to see Reddit in there. The discussions and forums section, you're going to see public Facebook groups. You're going to see things like Quora. It's showing you what's on page 1 of Google, which most of these models are consuming. So the whole point of this is to say, don't just have the blinders up. Don't focus on website content. I'm not saying don't focus on it. It's very important, but it's not the end all be all. That might drive a lot of citations. It doesn't mean it's driving AI recommendations. Huge distinction. Maybe we'll define that next month and what that means. So in theory, I could be recommended a ton if I ask who's the best real estate agent in Upton, Mass, but I have very few AI citations, meaning I don't probably have good content on my website that the machines are citing. And vice versa is also true. You can have a great, say blog strategy that's being cited quite heavily by the models, but I'm not getting any recommendations when people ask the question, who's the best agent in? So this is covering, it's a subset of the agent recommendations. You must be in these conversations. I should say you must. It's worth the time to be invested in these conversations, to be part of the AI conversation.
Okay, that's a great segue to a question I'm going to selfishly ask, and then Danielle also had a question. Okay. So you said it's worth the time. What if I don't have the time?
I don't even know how to reply to that question.
You want me to reply to it, Tim? I can reply to it. I'm gonna treat it like the agents on the team. What do you? It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Like if it's important to you, like Danielle, kind of related. Is anyone running a sub for Reddit to put this info out? Charity's on every one of these calls. Do you know why Charity's on every one of these calls? Because we go and build. Power Real Estate Group goes and builds that. If it ends at 10, at 11 o'clock, she's working on something. By the end of the day, I'm reviewing what was built. And so we're going to go into our primary markets and we're going to go do exactly what Danielle O'Brien just mentioned. That's what we're going to go and build out. It's either we going to keep eating. Like, this is just the reality of the world you live in, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the question. I don't mean to disparage anybody, but I'm laughing a little bit because the whole point of the session is to save you time. So what if I don't have the time to go hunt? That's the point of the skill. If you don't have it will be way more time intensive to go try to find these. So the skill took me 2 minutes to run. And then I probably should have showed it, but when you run the skill, it will not only identify the opportunity, it'll give you an AI generated reply. You could use that if you're limited on time. I personally, I don't know the quality of it compared to how you would say things and in your tone. So I personally would use it to identify the opportunity. I might cherry pick from the reply, but if you're doing this once a week and you're spending any more than 30 minutes in a week, then you're probably spending too much time. If you don't have 30 minutes in a week, I don't know.
Yeah. If you don't, his name is Tim Harvey and he's the CEO of FlyDragon.
Great point. We can do it for
you. This is where, like, for me, everything that I've been obsessed about this year, it's not or, it's and, right? So, like, I'm going and doing and. I also have Tim. Like, we have Tim and Ryan that are looking at our business, helping us rank. We're getting calls from agents. We're getting calls from buyers and sellers. Hey, how did you find us? Yeah, I was just in chat. I was just in Claude. I was just in this and then ranked. So these are the things that we're using in our business to be able to scale that aspect of it, right? So the cool thing about Tim and Ryan is they're actually showing you what they're doing. And this is why we trust them so much, right? Most people aren't willing to show you what the time and effort looks like. This is what they're doing to be able to help us and help 200 other real estate teams, brokerages around the country be able to scale, right? And to be able to get to where we know the future is going to be, and the future is now. So big thank you on that for Tim.
Yes, sir.
And FlyDragon. So
appreciate you.
All right. Cool. And then, guys, Danielle is dropping these links in here. Get up to $300 back per calendar year on U.S. purchase of ChatGPT. We use that link while it's live. Go ahead, run that up. With that being said, I do want to take the time and I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. This does not have to end here. Charity's going to show you guys how to. She's going to do a Loom video, show it over in the Claude skill. And then let's continue the discussion. Tim, you mentioned something a little bit earlier. What is our next session about?
I don't quote me on this, but it's off the top of my memory, and we decided this.
We're real estate agents. We will definitely quote you.
Yeah. This is a recorded line. I want to say with almost certainty that it's about listicles and press releases. So think of it like, so if you don't know what a listicle is, who are the top 10 agents in Boston, Massachusetts, you want to be featured in listicles. So we do this actually for Tom Ferry. So who are the top, real estate coaches in the United States? Well, we have a very strong domain. So you need listicles on websites with a lot of authority. Ours is one. Tom's first, and there's a handful of other coaches in the country. A little bit about them. That's, in fact, if you ask who are the top real estate coaches in 2026, you'll probably see a link in Google's AI overview pointing to us. So we're going to talk about the importance of listicles. We do this for agents, so we know it works. I would argue it's probably the number one driver of AI recommendations. When somebody's asking who's the best real estate agent in X or some query fan out, version of that question, listicles are one, if not the best source of that information. So this is a very, very important session. If you if your phone's not ringing from people saying, I found you from chat or Gemini or wherever, and you're not already doing listicles or featured in listicles, this will be a session that you'll want to attend.
All right. You guys heard it from Tim himself. The number one source of how he's doing it. I think there's a guy named Thomas or Tom or Mr. Ferry. Somebody is leveraging and reaching out to Tom. Reaching out to Tim. You might want to as well. Guys, welcome to the Real Estate Collective. Hop into community. Become interactive. It's literally $97 a month. Be a part of what the future looks like. Smartest people in the room. Hope this was helpful. REC out. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Lana. Thanks all.